more things, if you allow me. I know on Majdal Shams, I'm sure that I walked in late, you spoke about that.
Yep.
But, you know, does that in any way, I mean, it's a tragic incident, of course, but that in any way spotlight the fact that the Golan Heights is occupied Syrian territory, that Majdal Shams is a Syrian town, that the people that were killed were actually Syrian citizens. Does that spotlight the fact that this occupation, it's time for this occupation to end?
Said, our U.S. policy on the Golan Heights has not changed under this administration. That should be no surprise to you. I will echo what you've heard the Secretary say a number of times, that Golan is very important and vital to Israel's security. And as long as the Assad regime is in power in Syria, as long as Iran and its proxies continue to be present in Syria, as long as militia groups backed by Iran continue to be in Syria, and the Assad regime itself poses a significant security threat to Israel. As a practical matter, the control of the Golan, it remains of real importance to Israel's security.
Right. So you're saying that, you know, the designation of the Golan Heights, according to 242 and 338, as occupied territory is contingent on who's leading Syria, and who's the ruler of Syria?
What I'm saying is that our policy, as it relates to the Golan Heights, hasn't changed.
Okay, let me ask you a couple more questions.
Yeah.
You know, the IDF just destroyed a key Rafah water facility. You know, do you have any comment on that? Are you aware of the report? And do you have any comment on
We have seen those reports, Saeed, and we have been in touch with our partners in Israel and the IDF, or as it relates to seeking out additional information. Over the course of this conflict, you have seen myself, Matt, and others speak clearly about the importance of not targeting civilian infrastructure, things like water, sewage treatment plants, things like that. Of course, such a facility like this one would be inconsistent with that. But again, I don't have any additional information beyond what's out there publicly, and we have sought out additional information as to what happened.
And lastly, the Netanyahu government postponed the evacuation of 150 sick Palestinian wounded children from Gaza because of what happened in Majdal Sham. Do you think these two issues have to be tied?
Certainly not. I don't know the circumstances around that site. I don't know the underlying circumstances. What I can say is that every effort possible should be taken to protect and minimize civilian casualties, including and especially children. But I don't want to just assume that these issues are related or not, Saeed. So we'll see if there's additional information there.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Vedant.
Yeah.
I just want to go back to your answer to Saeed about the Golan Heights.
Yeah.
You mentioned that the Israeli control is a security necessity for Israel as long as Assad and other villains are operating in Syria. But is this a walk back from the recognition of Trump administration of Golan Heights as a sovereign territory of Israel?
Our position on our policy has not changed.
So it is a sovereign territory of Israel.
Our policy as it relates to the Golan Heights has not changed. The Secretary has spoken about this since the beginning of this administration, and we have consistently talked about it in the same way, and our position has not changed.
Okay, and my second question is about the Hezbollah incidents. Hezbollah denying this, and Israel and the United States accused him of it. Do you have any independent verification that it was Hezbollah, or are you relying on Israeli information?
So I'm not going to get into the underlying data that supports this assessment, but what I can say is that this attack was conducted by Hezbollah. It was their rocket, and it was launched from an area they control, and any assertion to the contrary would be a denial of reality.
This is your U.S. assessment. It's U.S. assessment.
I'm not going to get into the underlying circumstances of this assessment, but it is our assessment that this was an attack by Hezbollah, again, because it was their rocket and it was launched from a region and area they control.
The U.S. Embassy issued a warning to U.S. citizens in Lebanon, asking them to leave as soon as possible. Is this a lot of people in the region taking this as a warning of a looming war? Is that your assessment of what's coming up?
The important thing to remember is that when it comes to our consular efforts, we take the safety and security of American citizens. It is of utmost importance to this Secretary of State. We do not think that any kind of all-out war is inevitable. That's certainly not what we believe, and we continue to believe that through diplomacy it's possible to continue to create conditions in which civilians are able to safely return to their homes problems both in Israel and Lebanon. But when we're talking about the safety and security of the American citizens, and especially American citizens living in the region, living in Lebanon, we have a responsibility to make sure that they have the most up-to-date and relevant information as it relates to safety conditions to countries where they travel. And as it relates to Lebanon, as it relates to the whole country, that continues to be a level 3 for reconsider travel, and for southern Lebanon, that continues to be a level 4 for do not travel. And that is because what we're talking about is safety. And right now, yes, the safe thing for American citizens to do would be to make appropriate plans, some of which I laid out to Jenny when she asked her question earlier.
Thank you.
Yeah. Michelle, go ahead.
The question on your confidence. To what extent are you confident, as Kirby is, that there will be no all-out war between Israel and Hezbollah when Israel reacts, and where is this confidence coming from?
Well, Michelle, certainly it is not helpful for you to ask such a question dealing in such kind of absolutes. What I can say is that what we're focused on is the work at hand, and the work at hand for us is continuing to engage in diplomacy and finding a durable diplomatic solution, which, as I said, will allow civilians to safely return to their homes. We're going to continue to engage with officials both in Lebanon and in Israel. You saw the Secretary had the opportunity to speak to President Herzog earlier, and we'll continue that kind of engagement and focused on the region.
Did you talk to Iran about the escalation in Lebanon and Israel?
I'm not aware of any conversations.
Directly or indirectly?
I'm not aware of any conversations, Michelle.
Through Oman or...
like I said, I'm not aware of
Qatar?
any conversations with Iran. DR, go ahead.